Hey there, it's Mike with Mike's Tutorials. Got another video for you here today. This is about iCloud, just kind of giving you a basic overview of what iCloud is, how you can use it, and maybe a couple of tips and tricks on things that it can do for you. There's a lot here, and I'm probably going to miss some things, so if you have questions, please leave them in the comments. And while you're there, please go ahead and take a second to like this video, and maybe even subscribe to my channel. Um, Okay, iCloud is basically a term for Apple's almost just about any of Apple's online services, um, and it really could mean a lot of different things. And if you go to apple.com/iCloud, you can get an overview of everything that or most things that Apple talks about. And I'll touch on all of these features here, but you can see if I scroll to the top. There's iCloud Photo Library, there's iCloud Drive, there's family sharing, there's storage plans, we'll get to that. There's notes, there's music, mail, calendar, contacts, reminders, Find My iPhone, Safari, iCloud Keychain, backup, privacy and security, iCloud.com. There's other things too that it does. It really does a lot. And you don't have to use all of it. You can use just parts of it that make sense for you, but it can be a really useful feature. It can help just make your life a little bit easier when you've got multiple devices in particular. So if you have an iPhone, iPad, Mac, or Windows, using at least some of iCloud's features, I think, make sense. So I think I'll start on the Mac, and then I'll switch over to iPad. And iPad and iPhone are basically exactly the same in terms of what you can do with iCloud. Kind of start there, and then maybe we'll look at iCloud.com as well. So to get started, what you want to do on your Mac is go to the Apple menu and then System Preferences. iCloud comes built in. On Windows, I'm probably not going to cover Windows. You can download the iCloud control panel from apple.com and get a lot of this functionality. So I'm going to go into iCloud here, and you can see if you've never signed in, you're going to be asked to sign in. And what to use to sign in with? Well, you use your iCloud account, which is the same thing as an Apple ID. It's also the same thing if you've ever purchased anything from iTunes. So an iTunes account, an Apple ID, and an iCloud account, those are all interchangeable. It's usually your email address and a password. If you don't know the password, Apple has a forgot procedure where you can reset your password. And I'm using El Capitan here, Mac 10.11, and once I'm signed in, these are the options that are available to me. And let's just go through them real quickly. iCloud Drive. If I turn this on, what it will do is it will sync. A major feature of iCloud is syncing data between devices. So we have these multiple devices, and we want to do things like maybe synchronize documents. Maybe you make a Pages document on your Mac, and you want that to show up on your iPad. Well, iCloud Drive can help make that happen. So this will actually tell you different applications on your system that can store data if you click on options. And some of these things, they only sync between Macs because there's not an iOS equivalent app. And when you turn on iCloud Drive, you get an option under favorites here for iCloud Drive, and it gives you documents. So I've got the new Star Wars book that I purchased. I moved that into my iCloud Drive. I've got my bookmarks saved here, and I've got different applications. We can check back on that. It's downloading items from my iCloud Drive. I could just put documents in there, though, and they'll sync to my other Mac, and they'll be available to my iPad as well. Photos. If I check this, Photos, you can now fully sync your iCloud. Any photo that you take, you can sync your library with, like if I say use iCloud Photo Library, it will actually download and synchronize all the photos I've taken on my iPad, my iPhone, everything will be made available. Um, kind of a nifty feature, but remember that. So I have almost 23,000 photos that it's now going to download here and synchronize. If I delete a photo off one, it'll delete off the other. I think I'll probably have another video that goes more in depth on iCloud Photo Library. Very cool feature. Note that the storage does count against your iCloud storage. And what's that all about? Well, when we're talking about iCloud, we're talking about servers in data centers that Apple owns across the world. There's hard drives in those servers, and they give you a certain amount of space on those hard drives to store your data. And by default, they give you 5 gigabytes for free, which, to be honest, is not a lot. Luckily, it's only 99 cents a month to upgrade to 50 gigabytes a month, and every year they're increasing that storage space, so I imagine in a few months they'll probably give you more space. But that's what it is right now. And 5 gigabytes, if you're going to use iCloud Photo Library, you'll probably run out of that 5 gigabytes pretty quickly because it does your photos and your videos. And when we get to backups, we'll look at that too. But Apple makes it easy to upgrade and give them more money. You can do that if you want to use this feature. But if you don't want to use it, you can just leave it unchecked as well. Mail. What Mail does is it gives you an iCloud.com email address. So if you have a Gmail account or Hotmail, Yahoo, you don't need to check this. This is if you're using email services from Apple. But if you have a Mac.com email or a Me.com or iCloud, Apple's rebranded their online services a couple of times. That you would turn this on here if you wanted to read your email on your Mac. The next two here, contacts and calendars. If you turn those on, it will let you sync contacts and calendars between your Macs, your Windows, and iPad and iPhone. Kind of a nifty feature. Note though, if you say you use Gmail, if you add a contact on your Mac to your iCloud account, it's not going to be available if you say go onto the Gmail website and look at your contacts there. But Apple does let you sync your contacts through Google as well. So I kind of like to use a single provider for contacts and calendars. It's very often I see people that have a lot of contacts in Google and a lot of contacts in iCloud, and it can be cumbersome to manage that. So before you do any syncing, I would recommend if your internet company, your email provider, if they provide you with contact syncing, use them to sync your contacts. And you wouldn't do it here through iCloud. You would do it through internet accounts. You would go to internet accounts, add your Google account. For example, I can sign in. And I can sync this type of information: mail, contacts, calendars, messages, which is GChat, and notes. And so that's what I would recommend. But if you have an email provider that doesn't give you any contact or calendar syncing, it's totally fine to use iCloud. I think that makes sense. So I'm going to go back to iCloud. So that's calendars, contacts, reminders. I do use iCloud for reminders. Like my main email is actually hosted by Google, so I don't use iCloud for contacts or calendars, but I do use it for reminders because I have a shared list with my wife. We can get into that later, but it synchronizes the reminders that you have with your iPad, iPhone, and other people. And if you want to see another video on that, I'm happy to do one. This is just a real quick overview. Safari syncs your bookmarks and syncs syncs your saved passwords too. That might be from the keychain, this iCloud stuff. There's notes. It'll synchronize any notes that you use or make, and that syncs across iPhone and Mac. Keychain, so you can store um, sensitive like saved passwords and credit cards. They can sync to your other devices, and that happens with iCloud Keychain. And you need to approve all of your devices. There's additional security steps you have to take to enable that. Back to My Mac is a feature that if you have two Macs, you can log in. You can see your other Macs from the Mac you're on. So say you had a Mac Mini or an iMac at home, you have a laptop. If you wanted to access the files on the other computer or see its screen, you could enable Back to My Mac. And then from the Finder, I think, under Shared, it will show your other computers, even if you're not on the same network. So kind of a nifty feature. Let's check back in on iCloud Drive. Yeah, you see it's downloading like different keynotes and spreadsheets that I have, and kind of a cool feature. And the last one is Find My Mac. And Find My Mac is a feature that maybe is more useful on the iPhone and iPad, but it will let you look up the location of your Mac on a map. So if it gets stolen, you might be able to get a chance to look at it. You can erase it too remotely. Kind of a cool feature. You can also look and see how much storage you have in this control panel. So most of my stuff is my photos, but I am backing up my iOS devices, and I have some documents. And if I click on Manage here, that's where you can do things like you can increase your storage, but you can look and see, how much information is, what's being backed up to, or what of your storage is going to iCloud. You can also, if I look at the left-hand side here, you can set your little picture. You can click on account details and do things like look at your name. You can look at, your contact information, your security. You can look at your devices and look at your payment. The last little thing in here is managing the family. So family sharing is a newer feature in iCloud. I think it came out in iOS 8, I want to say. If I go back to that page, I think it's iOS 8, family sharing. So what family sharing does is it solves the problem of sharing purchases like music, books, apps, without having to share iTunes accounts. You can all share purchases in your family. You can have up to 6 people do it. You can share an Apple Music family subscription. You can share photos, a family calendar. It's pretty cool, and you can add people, and they approve. And then if you have any kids, you can limit what they can buy. You can approve all of their purchases. So that's kind of a cool feature that solves a problem that people had where they were having to share iTunes or iCloud usernames and passwords. So that's a real, just pretty basic overview of iCloud on the Mac. Let's switch over to the iPad. And just to show you, basically the options are very, very similar, with maybe one key difference, at least one key difference. So I'm going to go into Settings on my iPad, and I'm going to go to iCloud. And it loads in here, and it's very, very similar, the options. iCloud Drive, Photos, Mail, Contact. It's the same list, right? Except there's at least 2 things that are different here, right? There's News. So you can sync if you use the News app, I think it syncs like your subscriptions. So if you use News, you may as well turn that on. But Backup is a big one here. Backup's not available for the Mac via iCloud, but it is available for iPads. And before they had this feature, you had to back up with iTunes, and you can still do that, but there's not as many reasons to plug our devices into our computers anymore. And for some people, an iPad or an iPhone might be their only device. And so it makes sense now that you can back up your device to iCloud. So I generally recommend that you turn that on because it will back it up every day when your computer or when your iPad or iOS device is plugged into power, is connected to Wi-Fi, and is locked, which is basically means the screen is turned off. Essentially, that's going to happen if you plug it in at night and you're at home or you're somewhere that's connected to Wi-Fi. You can manually do a backup from here as well. You can just say tap on backup now and it will do a backup. And so if your iPad is lost or you get a new iPad or you need to restore it for some reason, it makes it real easy. You just sign in with your iCloud account and it will download all your settings, download all your apps, set everything back up how it was. Nifty feature. If I go back, so it says find my iPad instead of find my Mac, and then under advanced here, share my location. There's a feature where you can, it's part of the Friends, and it's also just a standalone app. It's called Find My Friends, and it allows your friends and family to see where you are on a map. And this is saying, well, what device should we show when people see where you are? For most people, it's probably their phone because they're keeping their phone with them. So for me personally, I want to use my phone, not my iPad. So that's just a real quick overview of iCloud on the iPad or iOS. One last little tip is if you go into iCloud Drive, this is on iOS 9. I don't think this is on by default, but if you turn on Show on Home Screen, what that will do is it will make an app icon for iCloud Drive. I reset my home screen, so I don't have my folder set up anymore, but here it is, iCloud Drive. If I go into iCloud Drive, I can see the same information that I saw on my Mac. I can now see it on my iPad. So nifty little tip there. I think the last thing that I'll show before we finish here is that you can access a lot of this same information through iCloud.com. So if you go to iCloud.com and you sign in with your Apple ID, I'll say not now. You see you have a lot of those same options here, but it actually lets you interact with your data. It's like a web app that lets you interact with everything. So you can see all your contacts. You can get access to your calendar. You can, probably the thing I use the most here is Find iPhone. So if you lost your iPhone, even if you just thought it was in your house, but you wanted it, weren't sure where it was. So this shows me this shows all of the devices on my family. So my wife's devices, and I've got the, like my iPhone is right here. I can have it play a sound. So if I press play sound, it will play a sound there. So if you lost your iPhone in the house, say it was under a couch or something, you could press that. Kind of neat feature. You can also erase it. You can put it into lost mode. You would put a phone number on there, and if someone found it, they could call that phone number. You could get it back. Any other cool things you can do in here? Let's see. If you go into settings, here's a little tip. If you go to settings, I think this is the only place where you can do this. If you go down to advanced, restore files, restore contacts, restore calendars, restore bookmarks. If you accidentally delete a contact or deleted all of your contacts, for a while you were kind of hosed unless you had a backup of your Mac with Time Machine. But now under advanced, you can go back. I'm not using iCloud for contacts, but you can go back to earlier dates and restore your information. So that could be your contacts, calendars, your bookmarks are archived now too. So you can go back. So I've got, I can go back there. Oh, an iCloud Drive. I guess if you delete a file, I wasn't even aware of that. You can restore it. And I think that gives you 30 days to restore. Yeah, I deleted this file, and I have 24 days left to restore it. It's kind of interesting. So if I click on it, click restore, the file it says has been restored. Should we see if it actually did it? Oh my goodness. Let's see. Hey, look at configurator. And there's that file. Apple Configurator is a device for IT admins to kind of pre-set up iPads and iPhones. You can create little profiles and push out to them. So that was kind of a lot. And I went through it pretty fast, and I didn't go super in depth on everything, but hopefully that gives you a basic sense of what iCloud can do. I'm going to go ahead and sign out of here. If you have questions, please leave them in the comments. If you like this video, please click the little like button, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. I appreciate you taking the time to learn this with me, and I hope you have a great, great day. Thanks. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And big shout out to our two sponsors for this episode, Lisa Mattress. Save $75 on a premium yet affordable mattress. It's the mattress that I sleep on. It's great. Visit bit.ly/Mike Mattress. And to WP Engine, amazing WordPress web hosting. All of my websites are on WordPress, and I choose WP Engine because they are awesome for security, speed, support. Save 20% now by visiting bit.ly/Mike WP Engine. Thanks. See you around.